and hit edit and clicked it. I know that when I created the session, um, initially it said the thumbnail was too big, so I
Oh
went and
yeah, because
corrected it,
YouTube
or so I
changed theirs.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oy.
so I thought I had corrected it, but I just went back in, hit edit, and hit, I don't know what button it was, but anyways,
Whatever.
we're
You
there
got it
now.
done. Yep, we're
I
there
just
now.
click aimlessly until something positive happens.
It seems to have worked.
Yeah.
So, Kris and Jeff, we know who you are. Some of the people listening know who you are, but not everybody. What is okay? First of all, hold on. I'm sorry. What the fuck is going on right now? I'm getting trash talked by the people that I love and respect. JR started the show by saying, "Evening, gents, dot, 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 and Kris."
I like it.
And yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. And
I hope he meant you, not me.
yeah, I was just saying it could be either of us.
Yeah.
And then Vanya just said, "What's up, gents?" and Kris. So it's possible that that we're getting a 50-50 here. JR could be shit talking.
Very high likelihood they're in that together.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think the highest likelihood is that they're both shit talking me. Everybody likes Kris because he wears Apex Optics shirts. Anyway, as I was saying, not everybody will know who you are. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell everybody why you're so awesome?
Yeah, I'm Kris, and Jeff and I have been started predator world hunting years ago, shooting coyotes, and just recently, the last couple of years, 306 Precision is our Instagram handle. Just for some of our stuff, we're deep diving into precision long range rifle shooting and having a blast, putting on miles, turning cash into bangs.
Cash into bangs. Wonderful. And
Yeah,
you, Jeff?
Jeff Scobie from Regina as well. Kris and I have been, like you said, shooting coyotes for quite a while, and I was shooting a little bit of the PRS stuff, and he wanted to try it, and took him along and got him hooked, and then obviously helped speed his learning curve a little bit from all the trials and tribulations I'd had from starting dabbling in the pool back in 2016 or whenever we first started shooting our first SAPRL matches and trying to figure out how to hit this steel from all these goofy positions, because I thought it would help. I thought it would help the coyote rifle bring in more fur. So that's kind of how we got into the long range shooting game. And then the very first match that was a team match was out in Manitoba in Miami.
Yep.
And Ryan Christie was putting it on at the time. It was an RTC event, and we neither one of us shot that the first year or two it was on. Yeah. And then decided to try it once and teamed up and shot it and had a lot of fun. Didn't do well.
Didn't do well out of the gate.
Nope. We had a lot of fun
and we learned a lot.
Yeah, we used some of our coyote recording video equipment to record a lot of our stages, and was able to, watch the video, play it back, kind of see what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what we need to work on, all that kind of stuff. So that kind of built the foundation for that, and then we decided we want to do a little bit more. Yeah. I'd gone down to Nebraska and shot an NRL Hunter event, which is a fairly new series, couple years old now, 3 years old, I guess.
Yep.
And Kris really wanted to try it, so we went and shot a team match, our very first one in Belt, Montana last year together, and won that. Was lucky enough to win that, so that was great. And then we picked up another win at the RTC event, the second year we shot in it.
Yep.
So that was our second 2-day national event that we had managed to come on top on. And then this year we set a big schedule. Honestly, we looked at the schedule. We saw the headlights down the road for the International Precision Rifle Federation World Shoot, and weren't really sure how to get recognized for that event. So we wanted to shoot some NRL Hunter events. We wanted to shoot some PRS sanctioned pro events. We wanted to shoot everything we could that was in Canada, the 2-day nationals, and even the level matches, and even the 1-day matches, to try and get as good as we can and get as much shooting and practice in, and really focus on trying to get the attention of whatever capper is to become to make the team, to represent the country, to be able to shoot for Canada at a world level event like that would be amazing. So that was one of the reasons why we set a big schedule last year.
Yep.
Cool. So I've got a comment and I've got a question. Comment, you keep saying like, oh, we were lucky enough to win that. We were lucky. I mean, I'm just going to call the bullshit. I mean, you guys are pretty damn good shots. So, there's not so much luck to do with it. You guys prepare pretty well, and you have a knack for pulling triggers. So I'm just going to put that out there.
Thanks.
Now a question.
First of all, thanks. I greatly appreciate that. I mean, it is a lot of work and a lot of work, a lot of preparation, but also not only does one guy have to shoot good, but his gun has to run like flawless.
Yeah.
Not only do you have to have one guy shooting well with a flawless gun, but you have to have two guys doing that. And that alone, a lot of times, we've RO'd a couple of these events now and seen a lot of shooters come through and fight through a lot of problems and rifle setup and everything else. So have all that stuff ironed out before is huge as well. So
and we've had our bad matches too.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail.
Idaho has my name. Like I'm a truck wreck when it comes to Idaho, and it's had my number twice, and I'll start out good, and then it'll just fall off the rails.
Well, if you accept into your life the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that may change.
Okay.
Anyway, I had the question I wanted to ask you guys. You were talking a little bit about your for your coyote shooting, the optics, the recording equipment that you have. What are you guys using these days for recording equipment?
We still got the Tacticams for the most part.
Yep.
For the 5 wide camera, the one that goes on the end of my shotgun, the ones that goes on the rifles. I've been playing around with the trigger cam as well. Okay. I find it easier to see through, and it does have its limitations though in the heat. I couldn't get it to run very good in Cody, Wyoming, and a few other of the hot locations. With the trigger cams, it's nice because we can activate them all with one remote trigger and start them all at the same time, different things like that. So they actually get pretty good video.
They do a pretty decent job. There's not amazing. The batteries aren't amazing, but for what it is, it does a pretty decent job. And then when we do some of our larger recording, like what we've got on our YouTube, we've used the full camera setup with the tripod and the guy on the camera and the mics, a full fluid head on it that works in the sub-zero temperatures. So it depends on the day and how many of us are out there and how it all goes together.
Gotcha. Kurt, you had a.
Do you want to help question. Doug out for a second here?
Yeah. Go for it.
All right. Yeah. Our friend Doug Rodenbush here, if that thing will come up, says he's got a friend that is on the hunt for some 351 Winchester for an old 1907. Can our listeners help? If anybody out there knows where 351 Winchester ammo is, please help. That's I just typed back into the chat. You'd have better luck finding a unicorn than you would 351 Winchester. But
that's why he's asking.
Anyway.
Yeah,
that's right. Anyway, get a hold of us and we'll put it on to Doug
or his friend.
Right.
So go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask what you guys have been up to since the last time we had the pleasure of being on the show and getting to talk to you.
Oh shit! Well, Rooster is loving his work. He works all the time. He never takes any time off, and he renovated his kitchen. I like how I'm not talking about me at all. I'm just going to talk for Kurt the whole time here.
Do it.
Yeah, he renovated his kitchen, which it worked very well. Except he left his lovely lady for 2 weeks. With a half-done kitchen, 3 weeks with a half-done kitchen because he couldn't get it done in time. And what happened to all your meat in your deep freezer in the basement, Rooster?
We had a little bit of a shall we say a misstep with with some electrical stuff. We repurposed some circuits, and little did I know in that old house, one of the circuits that got repurposed that I thought was uh, an abandoned circuit.
Was your deep freeze?
A small deep freeze was plugged into it. Yeah, so
Did you
we had
find
this.
Did you find out before the smell?
No,
No.
well
Dude,
after the smell
Chris,
had started, and
he didn't even find out. He was on site. He left Nancy to do it all.
Oh, that's terrible.
I went to his house to drop something off to Nancy for him, and she opens the door and it just blasts me in the face, and I'm like, okay.
oh, is that right?
I'm like,
Oh.
maybe she farted before she opened the door. I'm like, don't say anything. You don't want to insult her. And then
Well, you know those Spanish people, what they eat, you know,
well,
it's entirely possible.
she must have realized that I was breathing through my mouth or something, because she told me about the freezer and how she was throwing out all the meat now, and the whole house stunk like
man.
rotten meat. I was like, either you killed somebody in here or far too many tacos.
We're gonna stay with the deep freeze malfunction.
I gathered you guys have been busy because we didn't see you a lot on the precision rifle circuit this summer.
No, we didn't get up very much at all. He's been like, I wasn't kidding when I said that Rooster's been, working and never taking time off. It seems like he's on site more than he's ever off site for the last little while.
I have
And
been.
I've got 3 things on the go. I've got my regular, my day job, and I'm working on a specific project that I can't talk about. And we're both kind of, but mostly me, because he's always at work, working on getting another project off the ground, which we're almost ready to announce to everybody, but not quite ready to announce to everybody yet. So yeah, it's been pretty crazy. Did we even get anywhere this year, Rooster? Well, you were at King. You were at King of 2 Miles.
Yep.
But that was all that either
was
of us
it.
got to.
Yeah, we had some training sessions. I think we got out for 3 or 4 of those before King of 2 Mile, and that was it.
Yeah. Other than that,
Chris and Scobes burned up 10,000 rounds each this year.
Yeah.
And
It was a lot.
I burned up
you guys
7.
more than made it up
What a
for
bit
it,
this
yeah.
year, yeah.
So
Yeah.
do a quick run through. How many events did you get? Can you remember all the events you went to this year?
Pretty close. I shot 15. Chris might have shot another couple more, but I mean,
Yeah, I think I shot 16 in total. Yeah.
From November last year. November we were in Texas for the Precision Rifle Expo.
Yeah.
Then we were at
Shot an NRL Hunter at SHOT Show.
Ghost Hunter in Paulden, Arizona, the weekend before SHOT Show.
Yeah.
And then we got to be at SHOT Show for that week. And then we went to Idaho in, was that April?
For Snake River, yeah.
Snake River Outdoorsman. That was an NRL Hunter match.
Yeah.
We shot as a team. And then I went down to Williston and shot that centerfire match. And took some of the American cash home off the boys. That was good. And then we had it was cold, it was windy, I tried doing a little rimfire match at our range in Regina, and then we were in both the SAPRL events, both Colton's matches. That was actually Chris's son. He's 12 now. That was his first centerfire match.
First and second, yeah.
And then the second of Colton's match was his second one, and he won top junior, for God's sake.
Yeah.
He burned the house down. And he got to mock Shane and Mikey while he's doing it.
Yeah.
We had a blast at that one.
That was great, yeah.
Oh, goodness. There was NRL Hunter events, the Ghost Hunter, the Snake River Outdoorsman. There was North Dakota
Rough Rider Rumble.
We actually RO'd that match.
Yeah.
So we shot it as a team on Friday, all 18 or whatever stages it was, 16 or 18, and then RO'd a couple stages on Saturday and Sunday.
South Dakota PRS.
PRS in South Dakota. Oh boy.
Oh yeah, the NRL Hunter finale in Wyoming kind of
Yeah, and
topped it
then
off.
I
Yeah,
guess then it led into August.
RTC again at with Zach and Shauna
Pancake
at
Lake,
Pancake Lake,
Interlake.
Interlake, some Dust Bowl
Holy.
action.
There was a lot.
Yeah,
There was
So
a
you've
lot.
done a couple.
Half a dozen, 1, 2, 3, 4 NRL Hunter events in
Yeah.
total, I guess, this year, including the finale.
yeah.
And so there was a lot.
And we got to take home some hardware, so it was a good year. We made enough rounds to podium sometimes.
Sometimes.
Good timing for Carly's comment here, given what Kris just said. So Carly says these guys are so modest. Oh yeah, the NRL Hunter finale that they won.
Yeah, that was pretty special.
It was pretty. It's probably the most special one to date so far.
Oh yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
I want to go into detail about the NRL Hunter, and I was going to wait a little bit to ask you guys about the rifles that you guys are shooting this year, but we've already had somebody ask it, so we'll jump into that right away, maybe. So obviously, you're not using the same rifle for every match, especially because some of them are rimfire, some of them are centerfire. That's
for
obvious.
sure. So there's really three kind of classifications of rifle that we shoot. So there's our open rim fire. So Jeff shoots a Rim X, fully kitted out. I shoot a T1X that's been redone by Dennis at Go Ballistics. He's threaded the action and redid it. That's solved all my issues with the T1X, and it's a hammer now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're each running basically four platforms, four rifles. The rimfires he's talking about,
Yep.
and then we have a dedicated NRL Hunter rifle as well, and then we have our rifles that we've used for PRS style known distance matches, and then we built a second one this year. We built a steel barreled, basically PRS. Wow. Kind of a PRS style rifle with a heavy barreled 25 caliber on it as well, a 25 Creed that we used solely for we were going to use for RTC was the plan. And so I guess to answer your question, we each run 4 dedicated platforms that for those different style events.
Yeah. So in RTC, there's no weight limit like there is in NRL Hunter. So we run heavy, and you could run your PRS rifles, but we decided we were going to build 25 Creeds in steel barrels in a heavy platform, and that we're going to run for RTC team matches and as potentially as a second PRS rifle too. Then we've got our 6 mils that we shoot in our PRS platform, heavy rifles, and then NRL Hunter, we shoot in this, there's 3 divisions. There's team, well, there's more than 3. There's factory, open light, open heavy, team.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's weight restrictions in the NRL Hunter that there isn't in PRS style events.
Right.
So obviously everybody on their PRS gun's pretty heavy. That's pretty much self-explanatory, I guess, just to use that weight to mitigate recoil. We can take advantage of that in the RTC, shoot the same style of rifle, but we chose to caliber up a little bit and take a little bit better advantage of the ballistic capabilities of those 25 cal bullets now these days. The 135 and the 134, they're pretty sick. To be blunt, it's unreal how good these bullets are these days from Berger, and even the Hornady ones have been really good. But
we are 16-pound NRL Hunter guns. They're IBI carbon tactical barrels from IBI that are absolute hammers. They kitted up for 25 this year, and we were probably one of the first ones off the run, and they shoot lights out.
Nice.
Yeah, Shane.
So you've tried the 134 Hornadies then?
Jeff has.
I have some. Yeah, I tried fire forming some of my 25 BRA with it. Actually shot part of a match due to a problem
Malfunction.
with my 6 Creed at Pancake, but I ended up shooting my Hunter rifle with the 134 ELDMs for as much as I had ammo for, and it hammered. It was really good. No complaints there at all. So yeah, they're really good. So kind of a mix, but whatever we can get our hands on, the 135 Burger, the 134 Hornady, or even the 133 Burger EOL, is it Hunter?
Yeah, EOL Hunters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Jeff, you were talking
sure with the 25s.
Right. You were talking about maybe going 25 by 47. Just wondering what changed your mind to the Creed.
Well, all along the 25 Creed was the choice for the NRL Hunter.
Yeah.
So we looked at it as like, okay, well, we're already tooling up. We're getting a reamer made. We got just minor alterations to the dies with a different bushing. So not a huge cost in changing over. And we were already doing that for the Hunter. So we thought, you know what, with the RTC, obviously it depends match to match. Sometimes there's some really small technical targets where the 6 BR variants, dashers, BRAs, where those guys, maybe they have a little bit of an edge on those really tiny little targets because those guns just, they're so accurate. We kind of trying to pick a middle of the road. We'd won some events with the heavier 6.5 Creedmoor bullets, the 150, 147s, mainly, I guess, is where we had most of our success in both those two events, and the 153 and a halves. But what we found with the NRL Hunter specifically, range uncertainty is a thing. And what I mean by that is we all have really good rangefinders. We have this gear is awesome, but there's still targets being the size of them and the sheer distance, how far away they are, that you may not always get a real solid feedback on the rangefinder. And they put these things cleverly, as you've probably seen in some of the matches you've been at, where it's on a high T post behind a little knob. There's another ridge in behind it, so you can shoot the ridge in front, the ridge in back, but to get the actual target, you might be off by 20 or 30 yards. Where at 600-700 yards, now with a 153 or a 150-47 6.5 bullet, being that it's dropping, as much as it is, that 20 or 30 yards range estimation error could mean a miss. So now by us going to a 135, not only did it give us a little flatter, so it may buy us some hits when you do have that range uncertainty, depending on the height of the target, obviously. But it allowed us to probably do a little better that way.
Yeah,
and then after we shot this thing in the rain and the wind, like you talk about preparation for matches, we didn't get these barrels. We got these barrels pretty late by the time IBI finally got the tooling correct, and we're happy with producing these 25s for customers. So like Kris mentioned, I think we got one of the first ones in the carbon off the lines, or real close to it anyway, and which we're greatly appreciative from Ryan and Peter at IBI. Yeah. Those guys are awesome. So anyways, we get these things, we build a load real quick. We were lucky enough to find some Reloader 16 down in the States. We had the 135 burgers. We got loads that were shooting pretty good. And
very
didn't
good.
Spend a lot of time on development at all, really. We got velocities within, I think we were within 15 feet per second of each other.
Less, I think it was closer to 10.
Yeah, you were 28.77 and I was 28.94 on the chrono day. And we hadn't played with them a lot. This is the first match at that Grand Slam finale that we put these barrels in, which that's not something you typically want to do, is go into a big event like that with brand new gear. And we were pretty confident in these things.
Yeah.
And took it out. And then we actually had volunteered once we got the invite to RO that match. So that meant we're both going to shoot it as a team, all 20 stages on Friday. And then at the end of that, then you go to your chrono, like we're talking now, where they check your speeds of your gun. And then on Saturday, Sunday, we work one of the stages. So kind of like we did in North Dakota. But it was we picked the short end of the stick on this one by shooting it on Friday. Friday was horrible. We didn't get to see any of the scenery coming in the morning. Chris was driving to the range, and you could barely see in front of the truck. It was foggy. It was rainy, so it was cool. We had extra layers on, trying to keep things dry. It was
we'd cut off bottles like 350, 300, like 500 mil bottles. You just cut the tip off, put them on there over your brake as a, we call them like the water condom, like just
trying
little
to keep
stuff.
it dry, so we learned. And you know what though, we knew it was going to be terrible because we saw the forecast coming as we were driving down to Laramie on the Thursday. We had all the wet weather gear and everything, but we knew it was going to be shitty. And we were kind of, Chris was kind of getting down about it a little bit. And I told him, I said, you know what, man, it rained and snowed on us in Arizona of all places, in the desert. It rained on us at so many events this year that,
Really?
and I said, basically, you know what, everything we've done up to this point, driving to this match, all that at RTC, it rained on us. At all these matches, we were shooting in the rain, shooting in bad conditions. I said, all of this has prepared us for this moment right now.
Yeah.
So,
and it rained and it was foggy. There was a few breaks, but it was a challenging day. But we found all the targets. We made good trigger pulls.
The wind
howled, and it was. We just persevered over the day. We felt pretty good about it at the end.
We were basically on the southern, very close to the southern border of Wyoming, not far from Denver,
a mile or two from Denver, from Colorado.
Well, we're actually higher in elevation where we're shooting that match than the city of Denver, and they call it Mile High City. So that kind of gives you an idea of the elevation we were in. And of course, in the mountains, the wind just does crazy things up the mountain, down the mountain, with like funneling and all kinds of stuff. And it was these this NRL Hunter thing. If people aren't aware of it, it's maybe that's something you want to go into or not. I don't know, but we've actually got 2 events coming to Canada next year, which is super exciting for Canadian.
How about Jeff? Just a second here. There's a couple of questions in there. We'll get to the NRL in Canada right away. Just want to address a few things. First of all, before I get to the chat, I'm kind of curious, those barrels being as new as they were when you went to that match, you shot everything all, what would you say, 20 stages on Friday, and then at the end of it, you chronoed? Is that how that went?
Yeah, so we finished our last stage of the day, and then so on the Friday afternoon, all the regular competitors typically show up and they go through the registration registration table.
Okay, so the velocities that you started out with after load development before you went to the trip, I'm just wondering, after those 20 stages, then did you see any velocity increase when you chronoed at the end of that?
Yes, you will. You typically will. I was probably 10 feet per second faster.
I was 10 feet per second faster
than from a clean barrel.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that was and that's the other kind of one of the nice things about the NRL Hunter events. It's a little easier on ammunition.
Yeah.
You don't shoot like, PRS match, you'll shoot 200 rounds in a match.
For sure.
Pretty easy, 180, 200 rounds. Well, I don't think we've ever used more than 80 or 90 rounds for sure at an NRL Hunter match for everything. So round count would be in the 70 to 80 range because it's a dead target system. So, which means if you hit the target with your first shot, that's full 2 points, and then go to the next target or next position.
Yeah.
So
maybe for everybody that doesn't know what NRL Hunter is, we can take you through how NRL Hunter is different and that kind of the way NRL Hunter works.
Let's do that, but let's get some of our, because we're going to get really backed up with these questions, and if we don't ask them, these people will raise hell.
Okay,
it'll be like I was going to get inappropriate, but I won't. Where's the first question? It was Bending Ballistics wanted to know why 20.
Sorry, that's
I went further. I went further. I went further back than you did. Why 25 Creed and not 22 Creed?
So there's a real good reason. So in the NRL Hunter, you have to make something called a power factor. and a power 380,000, right?
That's right.
So the power factor is 380,000. You got to take your grain of your bullet times your velocity, and it has to be greater than 380,000. And you still can only be, what is it, 3150 or 3,200?
There's still a limitation
for speed.
For speed at
For velocity.
So
to save the steam.
no 6 millimeter, the heaviest 6 millimeter, staying under that velocity can't make power factor. So you have to shoot larger than a 6 mil to make power factor, period.
Now, you can, for guys that shoot in the factory division.
Or skills.
Right.
Yeah.
Skills is, yeah. So, but for the guys that shoot in the factory division, I believe they can shoot factory ammunition. Yeah. And you can even shoot 6 mils, 243, 6 Creed. If you, however, your power factor will be so low that if you end up going to a tie break for any reasons, you're going to lose because the other guy's going to have a higher power factor.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they did make that provision, I think, in the rules, so guys can shoot in the production division with production ammunition, and if it doesn't make it, they can still walk the prize table. The skills division that Kris is talking about is you can get as much help from the ROs or another shooter as you want as a skills division shooter. You pay a I think it's half the match fee as a skills shooter, but you don't get to walk the prize table.
But you can bring your PRS rifle. You're not limited by power factor or weight. So if you wanted to try it out, you can bring your PRS rifle, enter into skills. Your score doesn't get counted towards any prize table or any points, but you can still shoot it and experience it without having to build a rifle that meets all these criterias.
Yeah, because there's an entire different workflow and skill set, I guess, with the NRL Hunter stuff, because all you know at the start of any one stage is how many targets I'm looking for, whether it be 1 target, 2 targets, or 4 targets, and you know what the target shape is you're looking for. That's it. And it's all blind. So you understand the course of fire. Yeah, time starts now. So you're hauling ass with all your gear on your back. The only thing you can have in your hands is your rifle and your binoculars if you want to. That's it.
Everything else has to be
tripod, bags. It all has to be stowed. So then you run up to the sighting position and you set up your tripod or however you're going to glass, and you start searching the cone of fire, the field that they've set out with flags to show you these are the outer limiters of your left and right. And between that, you now have to find these targets. And that has been very challenging in some matches.
Absolutely.
This one had a few that did that.
And we were lucky enough that we were shooting in the rain and the fog. Almost all the targets are black. There's no painted anything. They're black in the platform. However, with the dull light, we could see them pretty good. And then the regular shooters had some dull light and fog on Saturday. And then we saw there was some sun, and it was a really nice day Sunday. But in the shadows and in some of the shadows that were cast, we're like, we know because we're working it where the targets are. But some really had a hard time finding targets because they were in shadows.
But that workflow, as a new shooter who's never shot one of the events, if they want to try it, go as a skills shooter, and you can have somebody help you find targets and figure out the workflow. And it's a huge portion of it's gear management and finding the targets, getting quick, accurate ranges on the targets, figuring out what your wind call is going to be, because you didn't know before you started the stage what direction you're going to be shooting. So you better have a good reference in the back of your head of what the wind speed was and what direction it was relative to where you were standing 5 minutes ago before the timer went beep. You got to figure out your elevation and your wind holds all on the clock, and
build your position, break your position for multiples, find and re-engage different targets from that same position. It's pretty challenging to do out of the gate if you don't know what you're looking for the first time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of time limits are you dealing with there?
So individuals have 4 minutes to do the engagements. Teams have 6 minutes, but both have to shoot. So we have 6 minutes as a team, and individuals have 4 minutes. So like Jeff said, there's either 1 target, 4 positions, 2 targets, 2 positions, or one target, 4 positions, 2 targets, 2 positions, or 4 targets, 1 position.
Holy cow.
And it'll tell
In
you
a
that
lot of time when you
but
got to
don't
put
know.
all that
They'll
together.
tell you shoot them left to right or potentially near to far, but it's not like there's usually a marker, like a random letter by the very first target. So if you see 4 targets out there and you say, and it says it's a deer facing left, and you see the first one and you're like, is my target by the letter Z? And they're like, yes. Or is my target by the letter R? No, that's not your target. Okay, then you go look. It could be stage 5, could be stage 20,
kidding.
but that they only kind of show you
Like
your first target, and that placard is within, I think it's 10 or 15 yards of the first target, and that's your first one to start. Then you're either shooting left to right or near to far, whatever the kind of match director comes up with.
Sounds kind of like a gun version of the hot and cold game.
It's a ton of fun.
Yeah,
it sounds like it.
Very realistic, like to real
No doubt.
situations, and you got to build a workflow. Like once you get into gear management, and they try and kind of trick you up, like there's stuff on the ground and you can't go prone. There's twigs and branches and you can't shoot. Like
so they just kind of set up like almost like role play scenarios for you.
Well, kind of, yeah.
Like real life hunting.
Like real life hunting
You're
scenarios.
walking along, and all of a sudden you see an animal, and you got to try and figure out where you're going to build a stable position, and how you're gonna ethically engage a big game target, or anything like that. So it's a lot of real life.
And most of it's natural props, logs that have fallen down that are slanted, rocks in Idaho. Everything's off rocks and angled rocks and different stuff. And in Belt, it was off tree trunks and limbs and stumps and stuff.
But this year was a totally different feel from last year when we got to go to the finale after winning Montana. We went there, and it was just kind of like we struggled. It was hot. It was a really cool. Oh, that's the other thing. All these venues we've been to, some of them are just amazing venues.
Ridiculous
lava rock fields and all kinds of crazy stuff. So we struggled, but we learned a lot last year at the finale, and this year we kind of have had the mindset like that. Yeah, there's no reason why we can't win this.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do you have to earn your way to the finale? How does that work?
Finale, just like the PRS finale, is invitation only. So you have to earn that through either through gaining points through the season with your and then they keep track of that for you with your NRL membership, NRL membership, just like they do with the in the PRS rifle series.
Okay. I want to ask you guys more specific stuff about the NRL Hunter, but I also want to make sure that our listeners are getting their questions in. A lot of this stuff you've kind of touched on already, so I'm going to ask multiple questions that are all having to do, because everybody wants to know about your gear and your caliber and everything else. So I'm going to run through them all that are related, and then just kind of hit the highlights. And if you've already hit the highlight, move on from it. It's fine.
Yep.
Okay. So Jonathan Bergen said, what velocity are you getting on your quarter bore? Mike Heineck says, what's the 25 Creed doing for power factor? You've talked about both of those things a little bit already. And Bending wants to know, is the 25 Creed energy factor comparable to the 6.5 Creed? So let's start with those 3 questions.
Energy factor, I don't know if is he talking about power factor or not, but I think
that's what he meant. Yeah.
So at when we did our power factor with the 25 Creed at the NRL Grand Slam finale, Kris's power factor being his average speed, they make you shoot 3 rounds over a chronograph. So his 3 rounds averaged at 2877 feet per second, just south of 2900. And which gave him a power factor of 388,395. He alluded to the 380 minimum. You have to make minimum 380 in order to be able to shoot in the open heavy open light team category.
And it's really easy to figure out. You just take 380,000 divided by the grain weight of your bullet, and that's the minimum feet per second you need to be going. Yeah. So with a 135, it's 2814.
Yeah, we knew we had to stay north of 2814 to make minimum power factor. Mine, I was just a little quicker. I was at 2894. average, so that worked out to 396.90 for a power factor number for mine, and then they combine those two, and I think in a team they add them together, and
Okay.
because
And then, like, divide by
if
two,
you
that's
and
what you
Rooster
got.
were shooting together, for example, and he was shooting a 6.5 Rooster, and Kris, you were shooting your 300 Norma, you'd obviously have very different numbers. So the 300
Yeah.
Norma is way harder to shoot. It would have a higher, it's going to have a higher power factor number. So that's why we knew we had to stay north of 2814, and we wanted to build some wiggle room because, like I said, this we were over a mile high elevation. Yep. We've been down lower, closer to sea level too. So you got to have a little wiggle room in there, built in. Is it better than a 6.5? It's quicker than a 6.5.
Yep.
And that's what I alluded to earlier in that range uncertainty game in the NRL Hunter. The extra speed, even though you're you'll get extra speed in a 25 versus a 6.5. If you're comparing Creedmoors, you'll get a little bit more recoil with the 6.5 Creedmoor. It's a little harder to shoot, and it shows in the slower speed. But even with the bigger bullet, we were running 2,700 foot a second, just south of 2,700 with the 153.5,
right?
And it's quite a bit bigger number. It was like a 410,000.
Oh, is that right?
Power factor. So your 6.5 Rooster going even quicker, closer to 3,100. It's going to 3,100 times 147. What's that? That's it's a quite a bit bigger number than if we tied.
It's 455,000. Yeah.
If we shot a match and ended up tied at the top, they would take the guy with the highest power factor as the winner. That becomes the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Similar to PRS, where they have the skill stage score, then time is the tiebreaker. The tiebreaker in the NRL Hunter series is the power factor.
Yeah. So the power factor, whoever has the highest power factor, if you're tied score, will win it because they believe that it's going to be a faster, harder hitting, higher recoiling rifle. Therefore, we're going to give you the win.
Yeah, so I hope that answers those three questions.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, and I thought we had more because there was a whole bunch here that I didn't read because I was sitting on the other ones, but a lot of it is just jokes.
So, let me just interject for a second here before you get to the next one, if you can find another one. Is the primary reason for that power factor in that game? Now I'm hearing that it's a way of like breaking ties and things like that. It goes into the points race. I'm assuming.
But they want it to be like real hunting scenario. They want you to take something that you take a regular big game hunting. They don't want you to game it with a 22 Creed or a little 6 mil or something like that, because you're shooting
the animal with.
You're shooting animals, usually animal shaped targets, and sometimes there's a full antelope out at 1,100, or the one that we shot. There was an elk. There was a full size elk at 950 or something.
Scott Satterley was one of the brainchilds behind the NRL Hunter series, bringing it to life with Travis and the gang from NRL Hunter, and he specifically wanted to bring some of the hunting cartridges or calibers back into the shooting world. And
is a lot of it the challenge of it is it primarily scenarios where it's like maybe unstable platform, like what can you stabilize yourself on, combined with what distance is it, combined with what size is it, or do they do things like where the target is partially obscured, or like bush scenarios and stuff like
shadows,
that?
Trees. They have numerous ways of making these targets tough to find. Or once you found them in the binos, now you have to be able to. You don't have time like you do before a PRS stage where you have all the time in the world to pick out target reference points in behind your target, so that with the naked eye, I need to look in that direction for that target. So similar to coyote hunting, you see a coyote way out there, you bring up the binos and you got visual on them, but then you gotta build that reference point over top of the binos as to where you're aiming, where you're pointing to, where that is, because so being able to, and this is where hunting has helped us a lot in this game, is be able to talk each other onto targets with verbal commands, verbal picking those target reference points out in the distance, and being able to help each other. If one of us can't find it, the other one hopefully has, and be able to sort it out. So you got to have that working for you. Some of these targets are extremely hard to find, even with a SIG 10K bino. There's been targets where I switched myself to a different set of binos for range finding binos, just for the clear glass to be able to find, which has helped us a ton too. It's found us targets that we weren't finding before.
Yeah,
I was going to ask.
Sure.
Yeah, I was going to ask about optics, specifically your rifle optic. Okay, did you make any adjustment for the NRL with your rifle scopes, like your magnification that you typically use for PRS versus NRL? Did you?
No.
As you were going through those, did you kind of wish you had something different a little bit?
I don't think so. No.
No, I'm living most of the time 16
to 20. That's where I live.
Okay.
We've run the same. We've run the rivals on the Hunter guns this year and last year.
Same thing with our PRS rifles.
Same exact same scope, same reticle on the centerfire PRS rifle, on the RTC rifle, on the Hunter rifle,
on the rimfire. Yeah,
same rifle, same reticle, or same scope anyway.
Yeah.
All the controls are familiar. It's just keeping everything the same and keeping. I did the same thing for years on the Kiowa rifle too. I had my PRS scope on my Kiowa rifle because I wanted to be looking at that reticle all the time. I got it on my watch face. I got it on my phone screensaver. Like, I'm looking at the reticle all the time. It's just easy. It's quick, and I love it. And I
saw Cappy's comment, and he's 100% right. Power factor is brought back to bring back fundamentals. You got to drive the gun. The gun can't drive you, and you can't get away with a 24-pound little 6mm where you're free recoiling and can see everything. Like, it brings back the fundamentals of shooting, and you got to get good at it. When we first did it, it exposed how lazy I had gotten shooting my 6 BRA when we started shooting 6.5, and I'm like, I got to get better because I couldn't spot my own misses. And in any game, you want to spot your own misses. I wasn't managing recoil right. I basically had to teach myself again how to shoot proper and not be lazy on the gun. And not like Jeff and I were shooting teams, and a lot of times even in RTC, he's on the other gun waiting, or we're pair firing, and couldn't see it, couldn't tell if I was high. You're making a guess, but then you work on your fundamentals. We went to the 25s, which are a little bit softer, and between that, then we were on point. But we did see, the only time we ever did see it was the guys were shooting, I think, 6.5 PRCs, and they'd run in and their heart rates are pounding. He's like, my heart rate's pounding. And he clips it into the tripod. He's like, I got a free recoil. And he reaches in, and the only part touching the gun is his trigger finger. It's off his shoulder. He's not supporting it. He's not doing anything. And it poof. And his partner's like, yeah, impact. And that's how they shot the whole stage. They free recoiled the whole stage like that. And they actually did pretty well, but it's very unconventional. But he recognized that you ran in and your heart rate's going. That's going to move. That's a couple tent wobble right there.
Yeah.
So interesting. That whole
considerations when you're picking your cartridge
for
your game.
Sure. That whole recoil management thing's very familiar to me. Years ago, I burnt down my 260 Ackley. It took a poop just kind of all of a sudden, and at the time, the only other thing I had was a 308, and it was surprising how much I let my fundamentals go until I got back on that 308. Yeah. Wow.
And like an NRL Hunter, guys will shoot 300 Norma, and guys will shoot 6.5 PRC, some bigger stuff. Like, we shot belt in that 300 Norma, you could hear it across the entire valley. Boom!
Right. Coyotes.
Our
American friends, coyotes.
Speaking of Uke, he had a serious. I got two questions here. One of the questions is for Jeff and Kris, but the first one's actually for you, Rooster. Uke wants to know what's up with the 6.5 Rooster. That's a Ruxum. I think he meant to say custom.
Yes.
What distinguishes it from the Creedmoor or the WE?
Oh, it's a bit of a complicated story, but basically I took a 284 case, which is a little larger diameter than the 6.5 Creeds, I guess, the case itself, and shortened it up. Basically it looks like a fat 6.5 Creedmoor, so I get a little bit more velocity out of it. Really is all it is.
Hornady
Well-
stole the idea and made a 6.5 PRC.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. When I got my reamer ground, it was about 7 months before the PRC came out, and it checked all the same boxes
Yeah.
except for the bolt face size.
Yep.
So,
So
Now we-
oh
basically,
well, I've spent worse money in
so you had 6
more
months
money in
before
worse
it was
ways.
redundant.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think EM was expecting I assume that Shane was probably expecting a different version of this answer. He thought that this was going to be some big epic story of yours, but
Oh no, I'm no salesman.
no, no salesman. Okay, so the next question is for you guys. It's a two-part question from John Bergen. Number one, are you allowed rangefinders, or do you use stand diametric range finding for NRL hunting?
I don't know. We use range-finding binos with ballistic profiles built right in.
Yeah.
Almost everybody that competes uses range. Like there are some guys that will go traditional rangefinder and binos and switch back and forth. But I would say a really high percentage use range-finding binos, whether it be the Zeiss, the Leicas, the SIGs, the Swaro EL ranges.
And we've kind of
Mhm.
grown, or we've kind of, I guess that's one area where we've tried numerous different things already in the last 2 years. We both had the 3K SIG 3Ks.
Yep.
They worked really, really well. Really good rangefinder, honestly, and the glass was pretty good.
Yep.
But the only problem there was that the onboard ballistics in the 3Ks only gave you I think it's 600 or 800 yards.
I think it's 800.
And then after that, it wouldn't give you a solution.
Oh.
Yeah.
You had to be tethered through Bluetooth to your Kestrel Elite, and then it would send the information from the rangefinder to the Kestrel, and then back into the rangefinder to give you your information. But a lot of times that burnt us
in a match.
Here we are trying to figure out new
bet.
gear in a match.
Yeah,
Stupid.
but
The Bluetooth connection kept dropping, so that was a learning moment. We had to figure out how to get that, so it was the data was there when you need it right now. And then when the 10Ks came, we saw some of the features in the 10K and the new app and the basically the ballistics an AB Kestrel built right into these things now.
Yep.
You don't even need your Kestrel other than to get wind speed, honestly. So then we switched to the 10Ks, but the 10Ks have a very different tint on the glass. And in Idaho,
it's a blue green tint on the glass.
So after being at the finale last year in Idaho, we struggled. We didn't not find any targets up to that point, but it was getting close. We almost had to skip a few, and I found out the last second. So then I got rid of mine. I upgraded to a set of Swaro EL range finding binos. Kris still has his 10Ks, and there's still to this day matches where he can't see the targets. They're so blended in, and this ground out in these target fields of these hunter matches, everything looks the same. So it's really hard to resolve, and I could see him plain as day with really good Swaro glass, and he'd struggled to
even
see
in
it.
Arizona in kind of the snow. You had to walk me into a couple, and I'm like, I just walk me in, and I'm pretty sure I was looking at it, but I could not see it in the SIGs. And he's like, look through my Swaros, and I'm like, there it is.
Yeah, so there were times where we had to do that, and or as soon as he jumped on the rifle, he was able to look through the rifle. And, there it is.
On the rifle.
See it, but so there's a lot of guys not super happy with the 10K for that reason. But other than that, the rangefinder
is fast, accurate.
It's good.
It's adjustable. The ballistics are fast.
Yeah, so being able to find the target for the hunter game is critical.
Yeah,
And then. That's currently what we're using. He's got 10Ks right now. I got the EL range finding binos, and
I like confirmation range. Like click, get it. Click down, click beside it, click back, and I like to be able to click in it come back like that.
And
Like
the
the Leicas don't do that. The Leicas are really good glass. They're just a little slow to bring back your solution.
So then the other change we made this year, obviously with the Summit Pro ED, the Summit Pros being available now, I always had those in my backpack as well as the range finding binos on my chest. So on all the stages, we'd run in, we'd start looking for targets, and we'd find the targets, range the targets, and then the rangefinders would put away. As soon as he would get on the gun, I would set up the Summit Pros, and to have a little bit extra power, that 12 power now on a bino, and still super clear glass, no problem.
And the
reticle, hard to find targets, and use the reticle to our advantage. So he takes his first shot at that first target, and maybe he hits it, but our initial wind call is off a couple 3/10 one way or the other.
If it's a long target, he'll give me the correction. He'll be like, correct 2/10. He'll measure it immediately like that.
Or if he misses, right? Yeah. I can watch these bullets fly. I can watch where they're hitting or missing and measure that in valuable 1/10, 2/10, 3/4, 5, 6/10 corrections, and get him set it up on plate. And with the heavier recoiling gun, you depending on the position they force you to shoot from, you don't always see that bullet, like he said, or your impact, or where you hit on plate. So those binos have honestly been
it was key this year.
Yeah, like we use them almost
for all of our team matches, almost
pulling them out.
And then Jeff would go shoot after I'm done, and I'd hop on his binos and just grab them and turn them. And then, like, I got a smaller face, Jeff's got a bigger face, so I'd crank them down, and then I can grab the left diopter, level the reticle, and then I just move him. And by that time, he's ready on plate, and I can watch his bullet fly and call corrections if there is too.
So being able to use those was valuable too. I mean, we, looking through our scorecard, there wasn't many first targets that we didn't have first round impacts on, but it really, when you're walking out in distances or doing different things, if you knew it wasn't quite enough on the first shot at this distance, you definitely know you're going to have to adjust accordingly on the next second or third or fourth target out as they get further away. So they've been amazing, and it's been a great tool to have in the toolbox for sure.
You got to carry multiple binos right now, which isn't the best, but we're hoping that maybe that changes in the future, and so you're not carrying multiple pairs. But we'll see what the future holds.
You guys have already mentioned this. I might have missed it.
ROing these matches, we've seen every combination of like the 80, 160 shooters come through your stage, and how everybody else, what they use for optics.
That's valuable.
The guy that won the overall finale last year, he had, like Kris mentioned, he had a set of normal binos and a 8K rangefinder on his plate that he had co-witnessed with his binos. So he'd find him with the binos, click it with the 8K, and then he won the whole match in the open light category doing that. So that's the same setup I use for regular PRS no distance matches. Have the rangefinder to do it and to get your ranges, and then the 12s with the reticle. Now we can, like, we had a mover at RTC. We had a mover. There was 2 movers in Washington.
Interlake.
The Windbreaker. Interlake had a mover
that was going fast, Justin.
So now you can use that reticle to measure. You can measure target speeds and figure out how fast your target's going, so you can do well in mover stages. And
you don't need to look through your gun. You can measure the mover and time it, and measure how many mils it travels. Get your dope, and then you can say, "Oh, this thing's going 2.5 miles an hour. This thing's going 1.5 miles."
And then even for the PRS, use that reticle to measure those target widths before you start the stage. So a target's 3/10 wide. Okay, that's 2/10, 3/10. That's getting pretty tiny. 4/10, that's about average now. The 5, 6/10 are a handful a match, but the big meatballs like that we used to when we started, these targets keep getting smaller and smaller. So it's nice to be able to have that measured target size at the beginning of your stage for your win budgets and stuff. So those binos have been a huge win for us, for sure.
Okay, I got a question here from Dan. Jeff and Kris, what are some of the things that you guys do to prep before and after the stage? I think go through like equipment and through mindset.
I don't know if you know Danny, but Dan's got one of the most inclusive checklist you've seen for pre-stage, post-stage, everything else. So
It's big, yeah.
it's a good question for
It's
him.
great, yeah.
What was it? Was it at post-stage or
Pre and post?
pre and post?
Yeah.
For NRL Hunter?
Yeah.
Or are you talking?
No, I think he
PRS?
was talking Grand Hunter.
Go for the Hunter.
Hunter?
Yeah.
Make sure you reload your mags, number one.
Yeah. If you come
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but at the pre-stage, we need it. We need a fresh, clean arm board.
Yep.
That we can write our data on as we're finding and ranging targets. We need our ammo, obviously our magazine filled up and on your hip or in your pocket somewhere easily accessible. And other than that, when you walk up to the starting point, like I said, there's a sign there, and it'll have a picture of a bison, and it'll say you're looking for two bison. And that's all you know.
Yeah.
That's all you know. You don't know how far they're going to be or anything. So for as far as a pre-stage checklist, we're looking at each other. We both carry timers.
Yep.
So we start our timers at the same time. So we make sure we've got 6 minutes set on the clock that we can do our time management with. And other than that, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. You write down 2 things to make sure everything for your regular shooting, mags are loaded, turrets are zeroed out, scope covers up, everything that you need.
And I guess it's an NRL Hunter rule. Your bipod has to be completely collapsed and stowed upward. It can't be legs out already.
Same thing with your tripod. Tripod, whatever it is, got to be collapsed to the smallest.
Yeah,
smallest
completely collapsed on the tripod. And like I said, only the gun in one hand, and you can have your binos or your rangefinder in your other hand. That's it.
Yeah.
You have to basically, if you go hands up, everything else has to be stuck to you. It has to be stowed. So we use a lot of really cool gear that we found over the last couple of years to manage that part even. And the OB clips.
The OB clips by Sky, like we just
everybody has a different pack. You obviously need a good backpack that'll carry your gear and all that kind of stuff. But once you have all that on you, and if you're running a camera, make sure your camera's turned on, and then you understand the course of fire. Yeah, time starts now, and then you're running up to the stage. And
it's not really about in NRL Hunter. It's less about your pre-stage and post-stage. It's more about your on the time clock process, because that 4 minutes sounds like a long time, but I wouldn't be able to tell you how many times we've seen people time out that have found the targets in a good distance, but because of process and gear management, let it time out.
Yeah, and then post stage, to answer that part of it, obviously we're trying to find our brass as soon as we're done, magazine out. If they require a chamber flag in, unload, show clear, pick up your brass, gather up all your gear, get it off the stage so that you can get the next guy in shooting, and pack up your gear. We load our mags, we mark our scores down and any notes about that stage. Yep. Especially in Hunter, I try and keep track in case you have some common themes or something. So write your score down. What went well, what didn't go well. Some things we could possibly work on, maybe in practice after the fact. And then once you put your brass in your brass bag and you load your mag again, get fresh tape on the armboard, and we're basically back to square one, ready to go again.
Yep.
Okay, well, that brings us right into the next one. Yeah, that is a lot, but that brings us right into the next one. Derek wants to know any pro tips for communicating what target locations.
This is great. So Jeff and I, even from day one, we had ROs be like, you guys communicate great. Like, do you shoot a lot of these? Even our very first one. And it wasn't because we hunted together for coyotes and be like, okay, you see that tallest hill in the horizon, come down at the 3 o'clock, and it's to the third fence post from the cattle trail. Like, you try and be as descriptive as possible. And we made some mistakes. I'm like, hey, it's by the oak tree. Just like, there's 17 oak trees. Be more specific. And I'm like,
the one I'm looking at. It's the one. It's the oak tree I'm looking at right now.
And it's good to know this even when you're asking, because you can ask your ROs on the clock yes or no questions. So we've had guys when we're ROing, guys are like, is it by the tree? And I'm like, I can't answer that. Like, there's lots of trees out there, or is it by a tree? Yeah. Like, is it by this green bush? Well, there's lots of green bushes, you know.
You can ask questions, but you're not supposed to ask questions that you're not supposed to ask the RO questions that will basically walk you onto target.
Yeah.
So they purposefully won't be that descriptive.
Well, like, you could, like, they could say, is it by the letter Z? Yes, it's by the letter Z. Yeah, it is my first target.
What do you mean by that? Because that's the second time you mentioned that. What do you mean by the letter Z? Do they have?
So they'll have white placards. They'll have white placards out by the first target.
A
target indicator.
They'll have a target indicator at the first target.
Yeah.
So that at some matches it's hard not to have multiple target fields in your possible view, possibly. But at others, they've done it so well where all you can see are the targets for your stage. What if you can find them, and you don't see any other targets potentially. Yeah. So, and
we've seen stuff where you see two targets side by side, and the target placard's right there, and you're like, do I shoot the left target? Yes, shoot the left target, and then you can engage. But then if you didn't ask and you shoot the right target, they're not going to say impact. They'll say re-engage. Like, they're only allowed to say impact, re-engage, or next target.
Right. So you could be consistently engaging the wrong target. You have to come and read between the lines.
And it happens all the time. It
happens a lot. Yeah. And obviously, if you're shooting, and that's only in team. For the NRL Hunter, that's only in team. If you're shooting as an individual in the open heavy, open light, or factory division, you're all on your own. So there's really no need to communicate other than if you do have a question for the RO while you're on the clock, you're basically figuring it out on your own. Got to find them, got to arrange them, do all that.
But as teams, we learn to use and what we can walk each other onto targets pretty well. And that's something we tested. So one of us would, when we go out and we would practice, find something and be like, "Hey, I'm looking at this rock." And we do this even when we're on site in day. Just like, "Okay, I'm looking at a rock. Here's the rock," and he'll walk me into the rock and be like, "Yep, got it. Let's go and engage it," and we shoot the rock,
Yeah. Makes sense.
Just for practice. But we did a lot of it during Coyotes. So
Oscar had a question. What tripods do you guys use?
I am using the Fat Boy Traverse 2-section.
And I'm using the Fat Boy 3-section.
Okay, tell us about those for people who don't know what they are.
Fat Boy tripods. They've got 3 different models now. They have the one Kris has, the 3-section.
Yep.
In the Traverse, and the 2-section that I have in the Traverse, and they also have an Elevate. And I borrowed one for a day at Colton's match and played with that Elevate with the controls up top.
Controls at the top.
I honestly think that's a game changer, especially for this Hunter game, because there's a lot of times where you got to change the elevation potentially of your tripod head or tack table that's on the head, and to have the controls up high where you're working rather than really having to lean down and potentially not being able to reach it. That Elevate is
so the Elevate's basically an inverted tripod.
Inverted
where the ball head is on the inner section and the big fatter section is the out.
So I've tried all 3. They're definitely a lot more sturdy. Or I would say, in my opinion, I have a really right stuff tripod as well that I use for the first 3 or 4 years, and the Fat Boys are definitely a little bit more stable.
Yeah.
It's a bigger, thicker leg, but it's also heavier. So you get a more stable platform. You get it's got the bowl adapter, so it's wider in the head, which again helps to the stability. Plus, you got the bigger, thicker legs, but you pay for it in weight. But it is quite a bit cheaper than the really right stuff as well. It's still carbon fiber, so it is a little heavier, but overall it's still lighter than a big aluminum.
And Fat Boys makes a really good ball head, but Jeff and I, we are used to and we shoot the really right stuff anvil on our Fat Boys, the Anvil 30.
Yeah, so it allows you to clip right into the head of the tripod now to shoot your rifle directly off that if you choose to, or if you have a tack table clipped onto the head to shoot off a bag or bino off your bag is what I found anyway. I've tried it all. I've tried clipping the binos onto the tripod. I've tried, all the different ways and thinking one's going to be faster than the other. It's quicker to transition with the binos on a bag.
Yep.
Plain and simple. Even as good as the Anvil 30 head is, it is awesome. It's just quicker to pan, to do the minute adjustments off a good sandbag.
Yeah. So we come up to the stage, deploy the tripod, throw a sandbag on, get on binos. That's how we start the stage. We don't clip them in, don't do anything. You just come out, deploy your tripod, set your gun down, deploy your tripod, or deploy your bipod, set your gun down, deploy your tripod, bag on top, and then a bag on top. And I run my bag just clipped in to my my wraparound for my wraparound for my my backpack, because you dump your backpack. When I dump my backpack, my bag just falls to the ground. And then I can grab my bag, set it up, binos on.
But back to these tripods, they are literally we couldn't do it without them.
No.
They are so instrumental for glassing, finding targets, for having a stable platform to be able to get ranges on these small targets, for shooting off of the tripod, shooting using the tripod legs as rear support, shooting using the tripod tack table as rear support as well for that, just basically making a modified, one of the most comfortable stable, modified prone positions out of the shittiest possible situation you could make out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, they are invaluable. You use it every single stage, every single minute you're using it.
And like we picked up a tip. Actually, it was from Cappy at our very first team match.
Yep.
And so what we do, and it's been instrumental, is if somebody gets on and I'm using the rear tripod and it's moving or it's lifting because it's uneven ground, Jeff will come. And we seen Cappy do this in a team match, and Dinger do it, and it was genius. Jeff will grab the tripod and just pull his weight on there, and it's like rock solid. And I'll just shoot up, bang, and the tripod doesn't move. While he's there, he'll hold the tripod down.
Just describe that again. You've got one of you is holding the tripod down for the other of you?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if he's in a position where where he may be scrunched in and the tripod may not, if all three legs, it's such a common mistake I see newer and average shooters making, where they're trying to use a tripod for any kind of rear support, and all three legs aren't touching the ground. One of them's hovering.
Oh yeah,
it happens all the time.
And it's a skill set. Like, we shot a match in Minot this summer, and then stayed back on the Sunday to help with a train-up day. They had a bunch of new shooters, and it poured rain on us all day. That was more training for this event. It poured rain on us all day, and we worked on so much tripod rear and showed these guys, how to get on target, get a pretty good stable position, and then just sneak it in that last inch or two to grab your support on the rear. And if he is in a position where it looks like one of those legs is going to be just barely on the ground or whatever, and I'll just go and put my weight on two of the legs, and all of a sudden it just gets super rock solid for him, and then he can get. I can't glass and spot for him, but
I'd rather have a no wobble zone and a stable position rather than Jeff glass my miss because I'm wobbling.
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense. Yeah. So you're now, just to clarify, you're only doing that when you're using the tripod as a rear.
That's correct.
Stability. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Well, we're coming pretty close to the wire here, folks. But I wanna ask you guys, what's next?
SHOT Show in January.
SHOT Show in January. We're gonna head down with the Apex crew, so that's gonna be awesome.
Yep. And then literally this week, the schedules dropped for all the PRS Pro events. The schedule's out for the entire 2024 season now for NRL Hunter. Even WPR, Western Precision Rifle League, has a whole bunch up.
Yeah.
Saprol's already put up all their matches.
Colton.
Cypress Showdown, those are all posted.
Do you think you'll do as many as
next step's going to be trying to figure out a schedule on what we want to shoot.
Well, what we found was when you're shooting 3 weeks back to back to back, our wives hate us because you get home, you don't even unpack your bag, and you're downstairs and you're in the reloading room till basically you're leaving on the next Thursday. Yeah. So it's really good to have match break. We're not going to be able to do that. So we're going to try and build our schedules out and get all that done ahead of time, where we know and be a little bit more diligent on loading and brass prep. But there's 2 NRL Hunters in Canada this year that are going to be awesome. There's a 2-day PRS match outside of Calgary that's going to be amazing.
Yep.
Carly says, teach your wives to reload. Reloading is like yoga.
Yeah, but we're a little worried that they'll be mad at us and be like, just, oh, that thing's
Right.
full, just level it off and squish it in.
Yeah.
That'll maybe
Sabotage.
keep them home for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Well,
a big deal.
yeah.
We did some mentoring of new shooters.
Right.
I had a guy tag along with at an SCPRL match for 2 days.
Mm.
Taught him everything I could, and we did that with a couple. We had 3 shooters brand new in another match, and kind of helped them as much as we could. And
With Lucas, it was great.
Lucas
Yeah.
and the teaching in Minot, so we did a lot of that, and that's super gratifying.
It's super good.
Madeline from Apex, she got her shooting her first center fire, hitting targets and rim fire, and doing that part of it, I get a lot of satisfaction and a lot of fun teaching new shooters and working with people. And doing it.
It's gratifying. Colton's very first match, he has an IPSC at 700 and some yards, and then another IPSC kind of behind it, and it's a hostage and perpetrator. If you shoot the hostage, you zero the stage, and but you got to lay him, and you can't see the full, so you basically got to lay it on the shoulder or the head of the perpetrator, but it's at a good distance, over 700, and it's mostly covered by the front target. So I go up there, I shot a 9, and I was first to shoot, and Lucas was last to shoot because he shot first on the next match. So I give him my wind hold, and I'm like, but you got to walk it in. And the first time he shoots, and boom, squares the hostage right here. 0 points. He's like, you're sandbagging me, Dad. I'm like, I'm not
sandbagging me.
Wind hold, but you got to adjust. That same stage was on the second one, and but the wind was from the other direction. I said, what are you going to do different, Lucas? He's like, well, I'm going to start outside. I'm going to walk it in. And you're shooting from a rooftop. So he's laying prone on this rooftop, and I'm kind of watching. He squeezes, and it just missed the perpetrator on the outside edge. And I'm like, did you see it? He's like, yeah, I saw it, Dad. I'm good. And he goes, ding, 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 and shoots 9 perfectly in the corner and gets a 9 out of 10. And I'm like, that's how you shoot.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing here to cap things off, the Canadian matches. We've had several comments on some of that stuff. The NRL's coming to Canada. I can't remember if we covered that or not. There's one in Alberta and one in BC, right?
Yeah,
Cranbrook, BC.
Tyler Beckley is going to be match directing that NRL Hunter event. Darcy Barrett's going to be MDing the NRL Hunter in High River,
Alberta.
And then Vanya's taking a swing at PRS Pro Match in Calgary area, so that's going to be awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And obviously, SAPRL always does a great job. They do a couple center fires a year.
Colton.
Prairie Precision Steel Cypress Showdown matches. There's 2 of those a year.
Yeah, and then there's usually an RTC out at south of Brandon.
The Manitoba boys do, Kurt and Dawson do the Pancake Lake stuff. They've jumped in the WPR pool, so that's
1 or 2 for sure.
That's a 2 single 1-day matches back to back days. And then Justin Peters bang up job with that Interlake match last year. He's hopefully going to be doing one again there this year.
And if you never shot Mirage, go shoot Interlake. It's Mirage like you've never seen before.
So there's
Guys, is there a centralized location for all of these things, or are you?
That's a great question. So
yeah.
I'm trying. I'm in the process. If you go to precisionriflematches.com, we're in the process of trying to build something where we're going to centralize a schedule where someone can say, I want to create my account, create my schedule. I want to search whether it's rim fire, center fire, how far it is from me, all these search criteria. The goal is to try and get everything in one place.
Yeah.
You can organize your life and be able to look.
Well, what a secret that is.
Well, hey, it's just an early development. So if you go and look, it's like, imagine all the precision rifles in one place, searchable by any criteria. So that's our goal, is to try and get this in. It's not really going to replace practice score, because we're not going to really keep scores. It's about organizing your life, having schedules and matches, and bringing it all into one place where you can just bring up your own schedule and say, hey, what am I doing this weekend? Or, hey, I want to plan. Is there a match going on this weekend within 200K that's a center fire match? Show me everything, you know?
Well, damn, brother, that's all you had to say.
Yeah, so we're gonna try and get this going here for this season, and hopefully it's a big hit and we can get everybody in. And the goal is so all these MDs and our team can input all these matches, and then you just go create an account. It's free. There's nothing to buy. There's nothing to do anything. It's just a way so you can organize your life and organize your schedule, set up your matches and find matches.
Yep.
Can I just say, so the picture that we're showing right now, that's Jeff, right?
No, that's
actually Greasley.
That's Greasley. Noel Greasley shooting Saprel.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I put it on there because the rope is not stable. It looks like it's stable. That's only because it's a snapshot, but that's one of the most unstable props on the planet. Yeah.
Is that Jeff there?
That's me.
Man, why does everybody look like Jeff to me?
I don't know, but that's me shooting the NRL Hunter in North Dakota.
I'm just seeing scobies everywhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, this photo has helped me realize how tall is Screams?
No, I think he's what, 5'9", 5'10", something like that.
Well, there you go. So this is why I'm not a good PRS shooter.
See, that's him shooting tripod rear on there. Yeah, bagging tripod rear.
I can't fit under a tripod like that.
You can bend down.
Well, man, I'm looking to shoot things, not do a leg workout.
Oh, we can teach you how to do that.
You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's going to be a big year. You know, Capra, they're going to be making their announcements in March, I believe it is. We're watching that like crazy to see, you know, as things continue to develop with that board and with that whole world championship thing and what you're going to need to shoot to qualify and what matches are going to be qualifiers for this. We're still learning. This is still in the infancy for this stuff, and it's super exciting. Like, guys are really getting jazzed to figure out, you know, how to make this team, and they want to be there. They want to go. Next year it's in Grand Junction, Colorado at Cameo Shooting Facility, which is I've heard it's an amazing spot. I know there's a PRS match there in April. I'm looking at that would be cool to get to if a guy can get time away from work to go and see the event. But that's a big thing coming in March, and that could ultimately have a huge part in setting the schedule for 2024.
It sure
honestly,
could, yeah.
Like Kris mentioned, my dream world would be have a match every other weekend, and have time in between to rest, spend time with family, and
load.
And you don't want much, do you?
Yeah.
But it was a busy year. I think Jeff and I each put on, in 6 months, I put on 24,000 K. It was right around 22, and then we still carpooled with other guys that we shot with too. So it was
lots of fun,
and lots of travel.
Yeah.
When do you work?
On the off season, like now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate to be able to get to get some Fridays off and have time off when you need it.
Yeah.
Right now.
But it's like you only live once too. Like you gotta do what you enjoy, and ringing steel, and like I said, turning cash into bangs it's
Turning
good
money
fun.
into noise.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah. Well, guys, thanks for coming on and sharing everything, and congratulations on the year you just had, and good luck on the year that's upcoming. I'm glad that one of you finally remembered to mention precisionriflematches.com. Boy, I'd be really sad if we went the whole episode without being able to plug that for you.
It's in its infancy. Like, this is just something that's come up in the last 30 to 60 days. That's kind of been a brainchild, and that we're going to take on. And so hopefully it's up, and we'll let you know when it goes live. And,
now you have to, because now you're going to have people bugging you every other week. Hey, is this up yet?
When are you going to get this working? Yeah.
So I guess you're welcome.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you guys for having us on.
Yeah. It's always a pleasure.
We love having you guys on. It's great.
We have a lot of people we need to thank. Obviously, our families and everything. Apex Optics, Carly and Vanya, they're literally like family now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're super awesome. Colton the Prairie Precision Steel, the guy gave you the shirt off his back if you needed. Like he's just such a good dude and ton of fun to shoot with, and he makes great steel. And his target hangers, I don't know that he's had a failure yet in one of his matches, which is absolutely unbelievable, really, for as many matches that we've been to and seen target failures. His stuff is rock solid. Dennis at Go Ballistic Gunsmith, he's built most of these rifles that
how many he's built for us? It's lots.
I got a little project on his bench right now that we're working on. I'm such a tinker. I got to quit doing that. Yeah, who else? International Barrels, Ryan Stacy, and Peter has been absolutely amazing.
Good
great
barrels,
guys. But we've won 3 two-day national level matches now with IBI barrels, so they've been absolutely
and a lot
perfect.
of podiums. Yeah,
Fat Boy tripods, those things, they're so solid. They've been super good for us, and we're very, very lucky with Apex. We have some team partners that help us out as well. So we got to thank MDT. They help us. They help us some. WeBad. We met Hannah and the crew in Texas at the Precision Rifle Expo. So running WeBad bags.
Trigger Tech.
Mark Skeels and the gang from Trigger Tech. I have everything Trigger Tech on my rifles. I love
Still
them.
waiting on the Tika. Still waiting on the Tika.
They're coming out with one. Chris is super pumped.
I'm super pumped. I've seen it twice in the prototype. But
So obviously all our sponsors, they're all amazing, and we love those relationships, and we
couldn't do it without them.
Yeah. The
100%.
And the gear we use is solid, and it's
plug your socials again real quick.
So Predator World Hunting is our hunting social, and most of our shooting is on 306 Precision.
We kind of keep the hunting with the Precision Predator World Hunting, and then the precision rifle stuff we keep on the 306 Precision side of things, both Instagram and Facebook. And it was another good year for us and for Lucas, and a lot of firsts, a lot of wins, a lot of Kris. Yeah, he got first place at Interlake and in Centerfire. He got first place in Rimfire in Medicine Hat.
Yeah.
So I was excited to be there for those, and obviously the big win. I have that trophy on my dresser, so I see.
Yeah, I think mine's behind.
It's the last thing I see before I go to bed. The first thing I see when I wake up. So it's.
At least you're not still peddling it.
Yeah,
it's been fun to evolve and figure out how to beat the American boys at their game.
Yeah.
So we've done it at NRL Hunter. Now we got to figure out how to do it on PRS, and we got so many good guys in this.
We got guys that got potential and that can do it. It's a tall order, but I think our team's up for it.
Yeah. Well, we've all got to have goals, right?
Yeah.
So at this point, guys, thanks for joining us on the show. If you're still watching, make sure you give us that thumbs up, that like, that heart, that whatever the hell you're going to put on there. Jens, if you are still listening, and I doubt you are, make sure you put that angry face up. We kind of expect that.
Yeah. We've been waiting for it all show.
Exactly.
And Oscar buddy, we love you down in Texas, man. We come visit you whenever we can. But now you got to fly up next. You got to fly up for the match this year too.
Just leave the Scorpions. Leave the Scorpions in Texas.
Leave the Scorpions in Texas. Thanks. Yeah.
Calling for some quid pro quo. You guys can find the show on the web, World Wide Web at bspodcast.ca. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/BS Podcast. You can find us on YouTube. Just search Ballistically Speaking Podcast. Now, I believe we have our own. I was supposed to look this up a while ago, wasn't I, Kurt? But don't we have an actual? Yeah, it's at BS_podcast. On YouTube. And if you want to send us an email, send it to info@bspodcast.ca. And as usual, we'd like to give a big thank you to all of our sponsors and all of our listeners. Without you guys, we're just two morons on the internet doing nothing for nobody. So we are talking about Shane and Steve. We're talking about Miles, Carrie, and Cappy, even though Cappy was shit talking me earlier today. We're talking about Duncan and Rob. We're talking about Phil O'Dell. We're talking about Doug and Neezer, Vanya and Carly, even though Vanya was shit talking me. We're talking about Oscar, and we're talking about JR Cox, who also was shit talking me. Thank you all an immeasurable amount, not for the shit talking, but for the support. And that's going to do it for us for this week, guys. Make sure you join
All
us
right.
again next week. And hey, last word goes to you, Jeff and Kris.
Hey, thanks for having us on. It's been a great year. We look forward to next year.
Yeah, and when you want to learn how to use that tripod, let us know. Give us a
Fantastic.
call. We'll come fix you up.
Sounds good.
You bet.
It's for all your tripod needs.
All right. Thanks,
See you
everybody.
next week,
We'll
everybody.
see you next week.
Bye-bye.
But some of these bullets, as you saw, have an incendiary device on the tip of it, which is a heat-seeking device.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Welcome to your weekly dose of BS, the Realistically Speaking podcast.